This is lesson 8.8, ways to find unknown length, part 2. Our math warm-up is a true or false. It says decide if each statement is true or false. Be prepared to explain your reasoning. So since these have a lot of fractions, we're going to start by adding the fraction parts. So what is 4/5 plus 3/5? Shout it out. 7/5. And 7/5 plus 2/5? 9/5. And 9/5 plus 1/5? 10/5. So if you have 10 fifth-size pieces, how many holes would you have? Ari? 2 holes. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add plus 2 here and do a little cross through all the fractions because we added those all in and made them into holes, right? Okay. Now 4 plus 3, 7 plus 2, 9 plus 1,
10.
and 10 plus 2,
12.
So the first one would be?
True.
True. All right, write down true. Okay, the second one, it starts with a whole number and subtracts a bunch of fractions. So instead of doing it like that, I'm going to add up all the fractions first and then just subtract one time. So if I have 1/2 plus 2 halves, what would that be? 3 halves. And 3 halves plus 3 halves, 6 halves. And 6 halves plus 4 halves, 10 halves. If you have 10 half-size pieces and you combine them into holes, how many holes would that be? 5. So I'm going to write 5 right here. So 10 minus 5 equals 5. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. On the next one, starting with adding the fraction parts. 5/6 plus 4/6. Shout it out. 9/6. 9/6 plus 3/6. 12/6. I'm going to pause there because we've got the fraction 12/6. What is 12 divided by 6? Jackson? 2. So what I'm going to do now is cross out these fractions and put plus 2 up here, because we turned those fraction parts into 2 holes. Now, I'm left with 2/6 plus 1/6. What's that equal? 3/6. So there's 3/6. And then let's add the holes and see if we get 15. 5 plus 4.
9.
9 plus 3. 12 plus 2. 14. 14 plus 1.
15.
15 plus 2. 17. So true or false? False. This would actually be 17 and 3/6. Okay. Last one. 1/3 plus 2/3. 3/3. And 3/3 plus 3/3. 6/3. So 6 divided by 3 equals 2 holes. Okay. Then over here we have 3 times 2/3. What would that equal? 6/3, which is the same as 2 holes. So this one would be true. Okay. Very good. Here are 4 shapes. Each shape has a perimeter of 64 inches. P, R, and S each have 1 line of symmetry, and Q has 4 lines of symmetry. Okay, so right here, it tells us that P, R, and S each have 1 line of symmetry. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the line of symmetry. There's P, here's R. Whatever that noise is, that clicking needs to stop. And here is S. Okay, so draw your lines of symmetry in. And then on Q, it says that it has 4 lines of symmetry. When you have a 4-sided figure that has 4 lines of symmetry, that means it is a square or a rhombus because all 4 sides are equal, okay? So with the square, if it has a line from side to side and side to side and corner to corner and corner to corner. That's why it has, that's how we know that all the sides are equal when it has 4 lines of symmetry. Okay, so we've got 1 from corner to corner, 1 from corner to corner, 1 from side to side, and 1 from side to side. Okay, now we have to figure out what these unknown side lengths are. So the first figure that we have is P, and it says that this is a line of symmetry. So what does this side need to equal? 26, yes. So the top is 26, and since there's a line of symmetry, the bottom is 26 as well. So now we have to figure out what that third side would be. We know, what is the perimeter? 64. So if this whole, this side plus this side plus this side all equals 64, how can we find that missing side? Zerelda? What would I do? Subtract what?
64 from 22.
There's not a 22, and you
26.
can't subtract 64 from 26. Brooklyn?
26 from 64.
26 from 64, but there's not just one 26. There's 2 26s. So instead of doing subtraction after subtraction, what should we do? What do you think, Audrey?
So add 26 plus 26, then you get 52, and then subtract 52 plus from 64.
Yes, there you go. So we want to add the sides together that we know, because you know in perimeter, you're adding all the sides together, right? So, but Brooklyn, you do get a point because you said that right. 26 plus 26 is 52. And if I subtract 52 from the total perimeter, which is 64, that leaves 12. So the missing value is 12. Put it away. Okay. So what about, there's one on your quiz like this today. What about that one? They didn't give us any side lengths. All we know is that the 4 sides add up to be 64. What should we do, Avis?
64 divided by 4.
64 divided by or split by 4 sides. So if we do 64 is the total perimeter divided by 4, that'll tell us how much each side is. Okay? So, what is 64 divided by 4? Anybody know? Jackson? Jackson?
21.
Nope. Todd?
12.
Nope. Cameron?
26.
Nope. Haziel?
15.
Nope. 16. 64 divided by 4. We're going to review this real quick. Okay, 64 divided by 4. If we go to the 4 row, I'm gonna take off 40 first. Subtract 40, and that'll leave us with 24. Is there a 24 on the 4 row? Yep. So I'm gonna take away 24. Okay, what do you multiply 4 times to get 40? 10. And what do you multiply 4 times to get 24? 6. And 10 plus 6? 16. So that means each side should be 16. How can we check and make sure? Autrey?
You can check and make sure by adding 16 4 times and see if it.
How about we multiply instead of adding? How do we check division? We do it with multiplying, okay? You're right, it would work. I'm gonna give it to you, but let's multiply 16 times 4, because how many times did we write 16? 4 times, okay? 4 times 6, 24. Put down the 4, carry the 2, 4 times 1, 4, plus 2 more, 64. Okay. If this is a line of symmetry, what is this side right here? Raise your hand to tell me what this side equals. Athena?
9.5.
Yes, 9.5. Okay. This one's a little trickier because how many sides are there that we don't know? 2, right? Are those sides the same length?
No.
Absolutely, because of the line of symmetry. So this line of symmetry, if folded, this side would lay on top of this side, right? So, we need to add these up and subtract them from what? From 64. But then we've got one more step. What is it? Avis? To divide it by 2, because whatever answer we get has to go here, we have 2 sides that it needs split between, okay? All right, so let's start with 9.5 and 9.5. What's 9 plus 9?
18.
18. And then a half and a half is a whole, so 18 plus 1? 19. And then 19 plus 13 gives us 32. And if we take away 64 or 32 from 64, that leaves us with 32. What is half of 32, Avis? 16. So that means the missing side lengths are 16. And we can check by adding them all up. So we already know that 9.5 and 9.5 is 19, plus 13, plus 16 and 16 is 32. So if I do 19 plus 13 plus 32, 9 and 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14, 3, 4, 5, 6, 64. They all add up to 64. Okay, last one. Since this side is 10.5, this side would be 10.5 because there's a line of symmetry. And since this side is 7.5, this side would be 7.5. Since there's not a lot of room, I'm going to do it like that. Okay. This problem is going to be just like this one. We're going to combine all these, subtract them from 64, and then whatever answer we get, we divide it by 2. Okay. So 10.5 and 10.5. I know 10 and 10 is 20, and half and a half is a whole, and 20 plus 1 is 21. And then 7.5 plus 7.5, 15. So if we add those together, we get 36. 64 minus 36. So 4 minus 6. Can't do it. So decompose the 6, make it a 5, make the 4 14. 14 minus 6, 8. And 5 minus 3, 2. So that means this side and this side together make 28. What is half of 28? Avis? 14. This one's an easy one to split because what's half of 2 and half an 8? 4. So 14. All right. Now this is a fun one, but I'm gonna do paper this time because I want to make it where I want to use the patty paper, like you guys will. Go ahead and get your patty paper out. Put it on top of this design. And what the directions say is Lynn is using 145 inches of fancy tape for the outline of a design with line symmetry. Here is half the design. The dashed line is the line of symmetry. So I tried to recreate it here as well. So what we're gonna do is very neatly and carefully trace over the half or the design that she made.
Can we use the ruler?
Nope, you just trace over it. You don't need the ruler for this part. The ruler's gonna come in on the next part.
So we
So
can.
just trace over it, please, and stop talking out. Okay. So you just trace over it. Okay. And then flip it. And what I realized today is that when you trace over it again, it puts some of the lead onto the page. So I'm going to line this up and I'm going to trace over those lines again. All right, see? Yep. So, see how that worked? Pretty cool, right? So now, if you want to go over it a little bit with the ruler, then you can, to make it really nice and visible, you can do that. Okay, there we go. And trace over it. Okay. Everybody got that done? Okay, now we're gonna fill in the missing values. Since this is a line of symmetry, what is this line gonna equal?
25.
25. The longer line is 25 inches. Okay? What is this line gonna equal?
19.
19 inches. What is this little short line gonna equal?
6 inches.
Okay. And then the other ones are gonna be 12 and 3/4. Okay. Now, it says that she's got 145 inches of tape to go along the perimeter. So we need to figure out what the perimeter is in order to see if she has enough tape. So, we're gonna start with what's 25 plus 25? 50. Like 50 cents. What is, and I was going over them with this as I counted them so that I wouldn't double count anything. What is 19 plus 19?
36.
No?
38.
38. Okay. What is 6 plus 6,
12.
12. And then the next one, how many 12 and 3/4 do I have? Jackson?
You have 6, 12, and
No? Ari? There's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I am going to, before I write a number down here, I'm going to actually multiply 4 times 12 and 3/4. Okay, so let's start with 4 times 12. What's 4 times 12?
48.
48. And then what's 4 times 3/4? Evis? 12/4, which is the same as 3 wholes. So 48 plus 3 is 51. Okay. So those 4 groups of 12 and 3/4 equal 51. So now I'm going to add those 4 numbers up. I know 8 and 2 make 10, plus 1 more is 11. Put down the 1, carry the 1. Then I've got 5 and 5 make 10, plus 3 is 13, 14, 15. So the perimeter of this figure is 151 inches. So does Lynn have enough tape?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
He has more than he needs.
She has 145 inches
No.
and she needs 151. Does she have enough?
Yes. Yes.
No. Okay guys, listen. She has 145 inches. That's how much she has on her roll. To make this tape, she needs 151. Since the amount she needs is bigger than the amount she has, she doesn't have enough. So here's what we're going to write down. Does she have enough? No. Lynn needs 151 inches to make the design. But she only has 145 inches. How short is she? How many inches short? Jackson?
6.
6. She is 6 inches short. So she could make it if she left off like that side there. But she's 6 inches short. Or if she shortened the width of these to 3. But that would work too. Okay. So we have 2 quizzes that we're doing today. That's the, but before we do those, I need to go back and go through the summary. All right, we're not doing the last question on that page. It says if you have time and we don't have time. Okay, follow along as I read the section summary. In this section, we used the attributes such as side lengths, angles, lines of symmetry, and parallel sides to solve problems about perimeter of shapes. We learned that if a shape has certain attributes, we can use them to find its perimeter, even if we don't have all of the side lengths. Or if we know the perimeter of a shape, we can find its side lengths if there is enough information about their attributes. For example, here are 2 shapes. If we know the perimeter of each shape is 48 units and the dashed line through shape A is a line of symmetry, we can find the missing side lengths. What would this side be?
14.
14. And if we know that this side plus this side is 28 plus 8 more, 36. And we know that the whole entire shape has a perimeter of 48. 48 minus 36 gives us 12. So it would be 6 on each, yes, because this side and this side are equal, and we divide 12 by 2 and get 6 and 6. Make sense? Okay. We can also find this one because if we go up here, what would that be? 15. And then we are left with 2 shapes, or 2 sides. So if this is, we figured out this is 14, write that down. This is 6 and this is 6. Going back to this one real quick, what's 14 plus 6?
20.
20. And another 14 plus 6 would be another 20. And 20 plus 20 is 40. And 40 plus 8?
48.
So the perimeter is 48 with these as 6. Then if we have 15 and 15, what's that equal? 30. And then 48 minus 30 would be what? 18. So what would each of these be? 9. Because half of 18 is 9. Okay? It also adds here, shape B doesn't have a line of symmetry, but if we're told its opposite sides have equal lengths, then we can, which is what we just assumed there. Okay, let me stop the video.